You were trained to be loved, to please, to be good. But one day you wake up and realize you've vanished. You followed every rule, did everything right, and still feel like something's missing. As if you lost your own life somewhere along the way. That exhaustion that never leaves you, that guilt even when you rest. It's not laziness. It's the price of living for everyone else. You're not broken. You're just carrying the weight of pretending to be someone you never were. The good news? This burnout isn't the end. It's the signal that it's time to stop hiding. Because the world doesn't need your trained-to-please version. It needs all of you. Jung used to say that most human suffering doesn't come from what we go through, but from what we pretend to be. That's why you feel so drained. The tiredness you carry isn't weakness. It's the hidden cost of holding up a social mask all the time. Few realize it, but this is one of the greatest thieves of human energy. Think about it. Every time you smile when you don't want to, say yes when you wanted to say no, or accept an invitation just to avoid disappointing someone, you're burning energy twice. One part of you plays the role while another hides the discomfort. That inner split is what exhausts you. It's like running endlessly on a treadmill, burning out but never moving forward. And here's the unsettling truth society doesn't admit. It rewards your self-abandonment. The more you erase yourself, the more you're praised as nice, polite, easygoing. Feels like approval, but it's a trap. You trade your vitality for acceptance, not even noticing that you're slowly becoming a character. That's why you wake up tired without knowing why. Most people stay stuck in this loop, convinced exhaustion is just normal life. But you sense the crack in the facade. You feel that something's off, and that awareness already makes you rare. It's as if there are two kinds of people, those still asleep, and those who've woken up to the discomfort no one else dares to name. That's why this line needs to echo inside you. Every time you say yes when you meant no, you teach the world that your boundaries are optional. This isn't just about tiredness, it's about identity. Your body feels the injustice. Your mind registers the contradiction. Your soul begs to be heard. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But transformation isn't instant, it unfolds in layers. Each honest no you say drops part of the weight you've carried. That's how you start reclaiming your energy and your authenticity. And this path, step by step, reveals a deeper mystery. Emptiness isn't your enemy. It's a secret guide leading you back to yourself. Have you noticed how you call yourself lazy when, deep down, you're just exhausted? That's what self-abandonment does. Pretending to be someone you're not drains more energy than a whole day of hard labor. No wonder that even without lifting heavy loads, your body feels weighed down, your mind jams, and your heart loses spark. This isn't laziness. It's the price you pay for living against your own essence. Your body understands this hidden effort. It responds with chronic fatigue, that feeling of being tired before you even get out of bed. Anxiety out of nowhere, sleepless nights that steal your rest, irritation over the smallest things. As the saying goes, the body screams what the mouth doesn't say. When you don't voice your limits, your body creates symptoms to speak for you. It's like an alarm system trying to wake you up to what's wrong. Let me give you an example that's a bit different. I knew someone who was always praised as a fighter, unstoppable. But behind that facade, she barely had energy for simple tasks, like cooking a meal for herself. She'd sleep for hours on weekends and still wake up tired. When she finally dug deeper, she realized the problem wasn't discipline. It was years of playing roles that were never hers. The collapse didn't come from laziness, but from living as an actress in her own life. Maybe you felt the same thing. Dragging yourself to social commitments you didn't want, blaming yourself for not being upbeat all the time, or forcing a smile when all you wanted was silence. That performance drains more energy than any physical job. It's like wearing a heavy costume all day and then wondering why you're exhausted. If this hits home, drop a like, because this video is speaking directly to you. The real danger is believing this state is normal, that walking around tired, numb, and unmotivated is just part of adulthood. But it's not. It's a sign you've drifted too far from who you really are. That fake feeling, that emptiness, that sense of not truly living comes from the gap between your essence and the mask you wear. It's like running against the wind. The body gets tired because it's going in the wrong direction. And here's the most intriguing part. Those symptoms you label as weakness are actually secret codes. They're telling you it's time to stop pretending and start reclaiming the life that's rightfully yours. Because the real exhaustion doesn't come from what you do. It comes from what you fake. And once you understand that, a new door opens, the one where you finally taste the lightness of being who you really are. Jung called it the persona, the mask we all wear to move through society. And make no mistake, it's useful. You don't talk to your boss the same way you talk to your childhood friend, right? That kind of adaptation is healthy because it lets us function in different settings. The problem starts when you forget there's someone behind the mask. The persona, which was meant to protect you, slowly turns into an invisible prison. You weren't born wanting to please. That was taught. As a kid, you noticed that when you smiled and acted good, you got praise. When you cried or pushed back, you got scolded or rejected. Without realizing it, you were trained to wear a mask that only got tighter over time. It's like an actor who never steps off stage. The play ends, but he keeps performing until he forgets who he is once the curtain falls. Here's the key. This isn't weakness, it's conditioning. You learn to believe that you only deserve love and respect if you're agreeable, available, and useful. Think of it like software installed early on, running in the background every single day. That conditioning shapes your gestures, your answers, even your thoughts. That's why you're so hard on yourself. Not because you're incapable, but because you were trained to believe you're never enough. And you can see how it shows up. You feel guilty for resting, like you have to justify every pause. You worry about disappointing people, even in small things like saying no to an invite. Or you rehearse sentences before simple conversations, just to avoid sounding wrong. These are signs the mask is no longer a choice, it's an obligation. You've forgotten what it feels like to live without it, and that's what drains you. But here's the good news. Recognizing the persona is freeing. Once you see that this behavior was learned, the guilt loosens its grip. You're not fake. You were molded to survive in a world that rewards performance. And when you understand that, the weight begins to lift. You realize you don't have to carry the impossible burden of pleasing everyone all the time. And that's where a new horizon opens. If the persona is a prison, then there must be a hidden key. That key isn't about working harder or pleasing even more. It's about remembering who you are without the mask. And that's exactly where we move next. How to recover your essence beneath all the roles you were trained to play. When you start to realize that the social mask isn't really you, an inevitable question shows up. Then who am I? Really? That's where one of Jung's greatest contributions comes in. The process of individuation. He wasn't talking about becoming perfect or erasing flaws, but about integrating all the parts of yourself, even the ones you'd rather hide. Healing doesn't come from killing the shadow, but from recognizing it as part of your wholeness. A lot of people believe maturity means becoming flawless, always positive, always right. But individuation teaches the opposite. Maturity is facing your contradictions without shame. It's accepting that inside you lives both courage and fear, generosity and anger, light and darkness. Instead of wasting energy trying to polish yourself, you learn to turn what you once called weakness into fuel to live with more truth. And one of the first signs of this shift is simple but powerful. Learning to say no without guilt. Sounds small, but it's a milestone. Saying no isn't selfish, it's maturity. It's like finally stopping the hunt for approval and starting to respect your own energy. Every firm no is a reminder that you exist, that your life isn't public property. I like to think of it as training. At first, saying no feels awkward, like lifting weights after years without working out. Your body shakes, your mind resists, your heart races. But the more you practice, the stronger you get. Until one day you realize you don't need excuses, you don't need to over-explain, you just say no. And then you notice the world doesn't fall apart. That changes everything. Healing isn't about being better than yesterday. It's about being whole today. It's not about collecting virtues or covering up flaws, but about bringing every piece of your identity into one place. That's the real rest for the soul. Stopping the inner war and finally letting yourself exist as you are. And here's where something fascinating happens. When you stop chasing perfection and start living wholeness, life itself responds differently. People, situations, even opportunities shift, as if the world recognizes your new stance. And that turning point, from spectator to protagonist, is exactly what clears the way for the next step on this journey of authenticity. Once you understand that individuation isn't about chasing perfection, but about becoming whole, another question comes up. So how do I come back to myself? Jung suggested simple but transformative tools, practices that create space for this reunion. One of them is dream interpretation. What you live at night isn't random. It's your unconscious trying to speak. Writing down your dreams, noticing recurring symbols, and reflecting on what they might mean is like decoding secret letters sent by your own soul. Another powerful practice is active imagination. Here's how it works. You close your eyes, pick an image that shows up in your mind, a landscape, an animal, even a memory, and start a dialogue with it. Sounds strange at first, but it works. It's like opening a direct channel with your unconscious, allowing forgotten parts of you to finally have a voice. This technique has helped countless people unlock answers logic could never bring. But maybe the most challenging step is the encounter with the shadow. Facing what you've always tried to hide: anger, envy, fear, insecurity. Yet along with these flaws lie dormant talents, strengths you never dared to claim. Looking into the shadow is like opening a locked chest in the back of a room. It's scary, but inside are tools that can change your entire life. The more you run, the heavier it gets. The more you face it, the lighter you become. And here's a practice that seems simple but few can sustain. Silence. Not the forced kind, but the space where you're truly alone with yourself. It might be a walk without your phone, a few minutes of breathing before bed, or even a shower with no music and no distractions. In silence, what's been drowned out by the noise of life finally rises. That's when you start hearing your own voice instead of everyone else's expectations. The best analogy for this process is a dark room where you've spent years shoving things under the rug. Every dream you interpret, every shadow you recognize, every moment of silence is like switching on a small flashlight. Little by little, you start clearing out what was hidden, cleaning, organizing. At first it feels messy, even chaotic, but if you stay with it, the room becomes livable again. And then you realize it was always your home. These tools aren't magic tricks, but they're paths. And the more you practice, the more you see that real transformation doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. Each act of reconnecting with your essence opens a portal to a lighter, more authentic life. And right there, a deeper revelation emerges. The return to yourself isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of something that can radically change the way you see the world. The real turning point happens when you realize you don't need to hide anymore to be loved. What you truly crave deep down isn't recognition for performance, but real connections, where you're seen exactly as you are. And that starts when you drop the idea that you have to prove your worth with every move. Real love isn't earned through effort. It shows up the moment you have the courage to reveal yourself completely. That shift brings something rare: inner freedom. You no longer live in fear of disappointing people. You can breathe deeply, relax your shoulders, and say, "I'm not responsible for everyone's expectations." That relief feels like putting down a heavy suitcase you didn't even realize you were carrying. Life becomes lighter when you discover that the greatest gift you can offer isn't obedience, but your truth. And authenticity is exactly that power. Speaking what you feel without fear of rejection. You start to see that rejection doesn't destroy, it filters, pushes away those who never saw you and draws closer the ones who've been waiting for someone like you all along. Instead of fearing it, you begin to feel grateful when your words filter your relationships. Because the moment you stop acting, that's when the most real connections begin. But living authentically doesn't mean being harsh or aggressive. It means learning to say no with integrity, without collapsing, without over-explaining. It's the quiet strength of someone who knows their life isn't for sale. Every boundary you set is a reminder that you respect yourself. And the more you respect yourself, the more naturally others start respecting you too. Boundaries don't push people away. They teach them how to treat you. This turning point isn't about swapping one habit or trying out a quick hack. It's about reframing your entire life in the direction Jung called individuation. You don't need to create a new version of yourself. You need to return to the essence that's been there all along. The transformation is so deep because it doesn't just shift your behavior, it reshapes your identity. You stop playing a role and finally reclaim the lead in your own story. And maybe that's the greatest desire of all. To wake up one day and feel that life finally makes sense, that the weight is gone, that you no longer have to fake it. That's the path of individuation, becoming who you already were before you got lost. And that's exactly where the door opens to something even more powerful, which we'll reveal in the next step of the journey. You're not here to please. You're here to be whole. All that exhaustion you carry, that heavy weight with no name, it was never a sign of laziness or weakness. It was your soul's way of warning you that you can't keep living hidden behind a mask. What you once called failure has always been an awakening. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the compass pointing you back to yourself. And here's the truth. You won't lose people. You'll only lose unbalanced relationships. And in return, you'll gain something infinitely greater. You'll gain yourself. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment saying, "I deserve to rest." That's our strength code, to remind you that you're not alone on this journey. And if you're ready to take the next step, don't stop here. In the next video, I'll share an even deeper truth about what silently drains your energy and how to flip that game once and for all.